an extremist Islamic fanatic sends hundreds of British young men to join Al-Qaeda terrorist organization in Syria. Geneva consultative meeting today would define the date of the Geneva II conference to find a political solution to the crisis in Syria. A security alert in Cairo follows the capture of large amounts of weapons and explosives intended to be used in terrorist operations. Good afternoon, this is News in English from the Syrian Arab Television in Damascus. Security and intelligence departments in Denmark said that 80 young men from Denmark were sent to Syria to fight with the opposition and the terrorist organization. At least 7 of them have already been killed. The British paper, The Independent, revealed that the fanatic extremist Angem Chowdhury, who lives in Britain and receives financial support, leads a large network to recruit young men from Britain to smuggle them into Syria and to join Al-Qaeda terrorist organization there. A meeting is held in Geneva today between the United Nations envoy to Syria Al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi and Russian and American representatives in an attempt to define the date of the Geneva II conference and to find a political solution to the crisis in Syria. Diplomatic sources in New York said that the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon would declare the date of the conference after this consultative meeting. The meeting will be attended by Al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi and the Deputy Foreign Ministers of Russia and America. The crisis in Syria and the ways to solve it politically will be the main objectives of talks to be held between the Russian President Vladimir Putin in his visit to Italy and the Vatican. Moscow stressed the necessity of finding a suitable peaceful solution to the situation in Syria. The Russian and Italian leaders will also discuss important international issues. They will lead the session of plenary Russian and Italian consultations between the two governments. In the same context, the Italian Foreign Minister Emma Bonini asserted that there is no alternative to the political solution in the Syrian crisis. She also expressed Italy's support for the endeavors to hold the International Geneva II Conference on Syria. Moving to field developments, at Homs, Syrian Arab Army units killed all members of a terrorist group who had infiltrated from the village of Zara and tried to attack the villagers of Al-Bardayat in Tal Kalakh countryside. Syrian Arab Army forces also repelled an attack by terrorists on the guarding posts of Ras Dam, killing dozens of the terrorists and destroying their weapons and ammunition. Also, Syrian Arab Army units eliminated several terrorist groups between the villages of Ad-Dal al-Kabira and Al-Khalidiyah. In the city of Homs, Syrian Arab Army units carried out a qualitative and specific operation against the terrorist gatherings in the neighborhood of Jurat al-Shayyah, destroying 3 hideouts for the terrorist leaders near the mosque of Al-Jura and in the vicinity of the endowment building, killing many terrorists. Also in Idlib and in the countryside of the governorate, Syrian Arab Army units carried out a qualitative operation, destroying the terrorist gatherings and hideouts in a number of villages, killing many terrorists. After one day of the Iranian agreement with the group of 5+1, which is described as historical and the agreement of the age, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif stressed that the Iranian steadfastness managed to gain Iran its right to peaceful nuclear power enrichment. He also stressed and asserted that Iran will maintain the nuclear techniques as a right that cannot be taken away from it. Zarif said during a press conference, "No one can dictate on us, and the West learned how to deal with the Iranian people through mutual respect." The French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius announced that the European Union would begin to reduce sanctions imposed on Iran starting from next month. France was one of the states that hindered the signing of the agreement between Iran and the 6 countries concerning Iran's nuclear file. France was thus trying to satisfy both Israel and Saudi Arabia, which were harmed by the agreement. However, France ultimately approved the content and the international approval of this agreement. Going to Egypt, where the Ministry of Interior and National Security intensified security measures in Cairo after receiving threats of terrorist attacks against major departments and hospitals. The security forces captured large amounts of various weapons and explosives. The Assistant Interior Minister said that the campaign also resulted in capturing terrorist organizations and nearly 100 prisoners who had fled from various jails during the January revolution in Cairo and other cities. The security forces also captured large amounts of drugs. China made an official protest to the American and Japanese embassies in Beijing concerning the reply of both America and Japan to the establishment of an area of air defense in the eastern China Sea. China stressed the necessity of identifying the character of such an area to be in line with the United Nations Charter and the international laws and practices in order to protect the sovereignty of the Chinese state and airspace. With this, we come to the end of our news for today. For more details and to view this bulletin again, you can visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us after the break, the latest in economy and finance.
Good afternoon. Syrian Investment Commission issued a semi-annual report on the first half of the current year. The report covered the activities which will be implemented by the Commission, including about 70 industrial, agricultural and services projects. The Commission also completed a project that takes into consideration the latest developments and the current challenges. The director of the real estate bank asserted that the bank continues to sell the foreign exchange to the citizens at the bank's branch in Dummar. The director pointed out that the demand for the purchase is in its minimum due to filling the market with foreign currencies and also because of the citizens' confidence in the Syrian pound. Brent crude dropped more than $2 a barrel as supply fears eased following a breakthrough nuclear deal between world powers and Iran. Gold slid more than 1% as a rise in equities and firmer US dollar dented the metal's safe haven appeal. The dollar rose to a 6-month high and the euro pushed to a new 4-year peak against the yen in Asian trading as investors positioned for yen weakness after speculators had bet on further yen declines. With this, to conclude our news. Thank you for watching and goodbye.